how to scale your digital marketing agency. And I think, Andrew, a lot of your listeners, viewers are digital marketing agencies looking to grow, looking to scale, looking to get things to the next level.
You are at SOPs, the better you will be at AI.
AI is great for augmenting that. Systems is great for augmenting that.
It's just that simple. It's not that big of a hurdle to go from, hey, here's this SOP, let's bring in AI.
When it comes to building the team for your agency, step one, we need an accountability chart, an org chart. What are the key roles? What are the functions? What are the job descriptions? What is everybody going to do within the organization? And I originally learned this from Michael Gerber from the E-Myth Revisited.
Hey everybody, it's Andrew with Lean AI Marketing, and today I have the founder of the 7-Figure Agency and author of the 7-Figure Agency Roadmap, Josh Nelson. And today, Josh is sharing his wealth of wisdom and insight on hiring, operations, and answering some of the questions I have on basically getting some sales and predictably growing your agency. So Josh, thank you for hopping on and for just sharing your wealth of wisdom.
My pleasure. Glad to be here. All right, I'm going to pop into it, interject as we go, ask any questions that you have.
Sounds great.
Happy to answer them as we go.
I'm going to put my hat to action mode, and that way I can see.
All right. So what we're going to talk about today is really how to scale your digital marketing agency. And I think, Andrew, a lot of your listeners, viewers are digital marketing agencies looking to grow, looking to scale, looking to get things to the next level, but they want to do it in a way that doesn't require them to do it all themselves, right? And AI is great for augmenting that. Systems is great for augmenting that. And at least in today's market, people are important for augmenting that as well. But I think what we all aspire for as we run our agencies, more money, more freedom, and a bigger impact. Like money to pay the bills, live our desired lifestyle, drive the nice car, have the nice house, whatever it is for you money-wise. Freedom to not be tethered to working 80 hours a day, but be able to take the travels and do the fun things. And impact, and knowing that you're actually serving your clients and they're getting amazing results and they're growing as a result of what we do. And so we have to make sure we've engineered that into the agency. And we do that by putting systems, procedures, team, leveraging AI like you teach so well, so that we can scale without having to do it all ourselves. And so the agency scale model really is like the level above the basics of I've got to land clients and deliver results. It's how do I put the systems, the procedure, and the team in place so I don't have to do it all myself? And so to me, that boils down to like the team, the systems, the procedures, and the operating system. And I'll talk about each of these, and I'll kind of hit the high-level bullet points, and then we can answer any questions and get into the details. But when it comes to building the team for your agency, step one, we need an accountability chart, an org chart. What are the key roles? What are the functions? What are the job descriptions? What is everybody going to do within the organization? And I originally learned this from Michael Gerber from the E-Myth Revisited. I'm sure you read that, right, Andrew, at some point?
Yeah, it's in my bookshelf right behind me.
Yeah, one of those like fundamental books. It's like, as agencies, a lot of us wear the technician hat, right? We want to do the thing, build the website, write the content, build the funnel. But if we really want to have a business, we're not doing the job. We're creating a system and putting the people in place. And that starts with having the accountability chart, which he explains so well in that book. Second to that is the hiring process. And this is where a lot of people get stuck, is they don't know who to hire, how to hire. They get the wrong people. They overpay. They're frustrated. And if you simplify this and you put a system in place to get the right people on the bus that actually are clear in what they need to do, augmented by AI, you can get a lot of things done. And then you've got to have good onboarding and training, right? So when we get that team member, we can't just expect that new SEO person or that new graphics designer or that new funnel builder to magically know what to do, right? We need to be onboarded in a professional way to get access to all the right tools, all the right resources, and they need to be trained up so that they can be efficient and they can be effective. I'd love to know your 2 cents, Andrew, like having built an agency and now you're coaching a lot of agencies. Like, what are your thoughts here on the team side of the equation? Anything we're missing on the model?
I don't know about necessarily the missing. You already touched the fact that AI is going to be a piece of this, but really what I've discovered, to my delight, is that the better you are at SOPs, the better you will be at AI. It's just that simple. It's not that big of a hurdle to to go from, hey, here, this SOP, let's bring in an AI. I actually think that you can blend it too. I don't know if you've tried this. One little tip is one of the things that annoyed me when I was hiring was it seemed like they weren't really going back and checking their work. So then just building like a flow for when you're done, I expect this, like a review bot almost, of like, it can see images, it can do everything. Now it knows what a good example is. So basically just training something to help your team self-evaluate. And that's been a huge help. I'm still trying to deploy that. It takes a while to build all this out, but I totally agree with what you've shared so far.
Yeah, I think I'm really going to want to hear your insights when we get into the accountability chart of the key roles. Where do you, like, first of all, what have you already decided? I can use AI for that. I don't need that person. And what do you see in the next 12 to 24 months potentially having augmented with AI? I think that's going to be an interesting conversation. So that's the team side of the equation. From there, the team's only as good as the systems and procedures you put in place, right? So we have to have the playbooks. You could call it a playbook. You could call it an SOP, standard operating procedure. It's how do things get done within this agency in each of the different areas, from marketing and sales to the actual delivery to client retention and everything in between. And then there's project management, which is the steps and the to-dos and the deadlines. Typically, you're going to put that into ClickUp or into Basecamp or into Asana or one of these platforms. Personally, we like ClickUp. We like the ability to build the template in advance, have all of the deadlines mapped out, easily update who's accountable for what. And then number 3 is we have to have financial controls, right? I think a lot of agencies, they think only about the top line. They think only about like what we delivered for the client. And the reality is we run these businesses to create profitability and freedom. And if you don't have financial controls in place where you're monitoring gross margins, where you're monitoring the profitability, you could talk a big number. Oh, I got a 7-figure agency, but be making less than a freelancer that is doing it all themselves. So you got to have those financial controls in place. Would love to hear your thoughts on how you're, leveraging AI or in your agency, like playbooks, project management, financial controls.
Yeah, so I'm still I am slow on doing this. I have researched how. I have not, to be honest, implemented this fully.
Okay.
So I don't know if you're friends with any developers, but I'd say people who dabble with AI are very similar, or like who get really deep into it. They're very similar to developers, and every developer I've ever met has 100 half-finished projects.
Right.
And I have the most genius personal assistant AI that's half finished. I have the most genius project manager, half finished, account manager, half finished. I got all these things that are half finished. And so I have the theory, I've got the skeleton. I just don't have anything that's ready. But basically, once again, it's I don't want to like steer us too far, but all of this to make AI do something is it's really tedious decision making of like, okay, think of all of the points where something is going to have to look at something and ask a question. You create a bunch of AIs that literally just help evaluate those decision points. So that's all it is. You can use generic ChatGPT, but it's trained on one thing. How do I make the right decision at this juncture? And then it goes back to the normal like bot that does all the actual like work. But you're essentially breaking out those into very specific trained decision-making things, and it works.
So good. I love that. I actually just got off of a workshop with Jeff Woods, the author of AI-Driven Leader. I'm not sure if you've read this one yet.
I saw you post about that. I haven't read it, but it looks interesting.
It's a really good book, and he actually he said just that. He's like, don't ask it just to write your emails. Ask it, how can AI help with this, whatever it is, right? If we're trying to figure out how to set up our playbooks, or whether we should even be creating playbooks, and how do we set up our project, AI, if you ask the question in the right way and you give it context, which I know you're world class at.
So I had one extra tip, because people leave this out all of the time. I pay $200 a month for ChatGPT, and people think I'm crazy that don't work in my in my field, and even people that work in my field think that's a little bit much. I'll just use the free stuff. It's worth it for this reason. You just brought up ask AI. If you get really good at asking AI questions, it can. It's called meta prompting, but the idea of getting it to teach yourself and improve itself, all these different like kind of metacognition thinking for you and trying to dig deep. The problem is not every model is good at that. The thinking models are good at that. So that's the O1 series, O3 series, but there's a specific model called O1 Pro, and it takes 2 minutes of thinking time. But you can give it 20, 30 pages of like dense, like, hey, this is exactly everything I think about. It will totally then evaluate in a deeper way than like anything else. So that's blown my mind. If you have the right model, you can really, really, really get what Jeff was talking about. You can ask AI and then get some incredible results. But don't use like GPT-4o. You're going to get just kind of mediocre stuff.
Love that. Great tip. So we got the team, we've got the processes. Next thing we need the operating system. And this is like really how we keep the operation on the rails, how we keep the team managed on an ongoing basis. So I believe EOS is the operating system. I love it. I could talk for hours about it, but ultimately it's that accountability chart. It's each person having a scorecard with the key things that they're measurable for, and then a pulsing process within the organization in terms of how often you meet, how you set goals and rocks, and how you keep that up to date. So implementing EOS, especially at 7 figures or multiple 7 figures, is really critical for scale. Level 10 meetings. This changed the game for us in our agency. It's just a meeting that happens every single week at a set date and time. It goes 90 minutes with a very specific agenda. And it becomes a time to check the scorecard to see if anything's off track, to check the status on any of the rocks that you've set for the quarter, and a place to identify, discuss, and solve issues within the agency. Before we did this, it was constant got a minute meetings. Got a minute. Hey, I'm stuck on this. Hey, I need your help. Slack constantly firing. When we started knowing that we're going to have this meeting every single week and there was a set date and time, it became a parking lot for those issues and a place where those issues actually got moved forward every single week. And that's been a game changer in the growth of our agency. And then ultimately having a continuous planning frequency. Hey, we're going to meet every year to set the goals for the year ahead. We're going to meet every quarter to review the previous quarter to see if we're on track. When you put that operating function in place with a good team and good processes, that's where you can get really good momentum within the agency. On the operating system side of the equation, any tidbits on your end?
I have not implemented the EOS system, but I've read it. And back when I was in entrepreneurs organization, I was selling to a bunch of EO people. That's kind of how I got started. And EOS was like the thing. Yeah. But I just wasn't at the point where I was hiring. So I never actually got deep into it. But I can tell you this, for those listening, if they don't trust you already, I haven't met a single person that doesn't have that same opinion. They're all recommending the EOS, or someone's trying to rebrand it as like their name, but it's the EOS. It's just EOS. Yeah. But so I love the level 10 meetings too. I've heard some people, they'll get around this by just getting rid of Slack entirely. They say basically you're forced to only interact within the projects, which is why they use something like Basecamp instead of ClickUp, because it's a little bit better at the comms. Yeah. But I think that's huge. The next thing that I'm reminded of is the Bezos letters. I was curious if you've read that, because I love what he does with meetings. I'll pull you in for a second sort of stuff. Doesn't really work. It's really, really annoying. But I love what Bezos does, because he has that whole idea of, you have to kind of like defend the reason for the meeting. And you have to shrink that meeting down to like 15 minutes. So you need to basically have a very clear vision of what you're expecting from this person, what's needed. And then you prep also for the meeting. I think that's the biggest thing I'm annoyed by. If you don't have meeting prep, you don't have
without
notes,
an agenda, without a preparation.
Yeah, like have an agenda, have the questions, have specific things of I need this from this person. Yeah. Expectations. Put that in the meeting invite too, like at least 24 hours before. It's just, I don't know why that's not there. It's just no one does it. And it makes it so annoying where I dread meetings. Yeah. Death by meetings, right? You don't want to create that either, right? You want to make sure your meetings are productive. They're intentional and they have a purpose, right? And you do that by having an agenda. So that's the scale model. I want to talk about 5 quick principles on this. And of course, I like to keep this collaborative. I love this kind of, banter back and forth as we're filling in the gaps. Number 1 is we want to make sure the model's built to scale, right? And the model that I run and that I've taught hundreds of agencies now is have one very particular market that you serve. So we work with, in our agency, plumbing and HVAC companies. And we work with about
210 plumbing HVAC companies throughout the United States. And we do about $7 million per year in the agency. And being in one market made it easy to market ourselves. It made it easy to, systematize our delivery. It made it easy to develop proven results for the clients that we serve. And so every agency that I've worked with that I've seen go to seven figures and multiple seven figures has done that, right? And I can point to literally hundreds of examples of micro niche agencies that became the main player in that industry and were able to scale up. It's not the only way. That's just the way that I like to do it and that I found a lot of success with personally. Charging a monthly recurring fee. So not custom work, not project work from one client to the next, but having a retainer that's going to be $2,500, $3,500 every single month or greater. And then having it on auto pay where it's like they're just going to pay every month until they cancel.
That model, easier said than done, man. Getting someone to agree to auto pay has been a nightmare for me.
Has it really? Okay.
Yeah, it's been hard. Although I've been doing finance and health companies that are like really legalese sort of stuff. So they're a little bit more uptight.
Yeah. I could talk for a long time about model, but that's the model, that we teach that's worked really, really well. The beauty of it is we simplify it, right? It's like one market, one preset program, one monthly retainer fee, and we sell it again and again and again and again and again. And obviously we are improving the deliverable. We're building a lot of results and case studies, and it becomes easier and easier to scale over time. Number two is we map the accountability chart, right? Which is, let's get clear on what the roles are within the organization, what the responsibility for each of those roles are, what the KPIs or the scorecard is. And sometimes you're sitting in all of the seats, right? And you start to recognize, well, I'm really actually pretty good at the marketing and sales, but I'm not great at, the operations, the delivery, whatever it is. In some of your cases, maybe it's I'm really good at the delivery, but I don't like the sales and marketing. You can start to figure out where you're naturally gifted and start to decide what roles you need to fill in next. Well, I'll share some examples of the key roles and the key positions and who you hire for as we go. Number three is to find people that play at what you have to work at. And I kind of alluded to this a moment ago, but in any position in your company, there's people that love that thing. They're passionate about that thing. Doing that lights them up. And you want to find those people and don't feel like you have to do it all yourself, whether it's the design or the content or the AI engineering. Number four is going to develop systems and procedures, right? Like, how does this get done within the organization? Develop those playbooks. And then ultimately we're going to recruit, train, and hire. And maybe like there's a prerequisite step, which is, decide what can be done with AI and then what can't, recruit, hire, and manage from there forward. Anything you want to add there before we get into the four key positions as you scale?
I wanted to ask your opinion because I don't even want to lead it. Actually, I'll share mine afterwards. What's your opinion on that model of the agency recurring revenue model? Do you see anything changing? Do you think it's just as viable today? Is AI displacing that at all? Or whether or not it's actual AI's true impact, it could just be people's perception and fears and all sorts of things. But is anything changing in that department?
Yeah, I think if you're just a single service, like you just do SEO or you just do Google ads or you just do Facebook ads, I think it's going to be easy for AI to displace that and for either the value of that service to drop significantly or for the client to figure out like, oh, I can do this on my own just as well as you do. I think if you're approaching it as a growth system that you deliver for your clients, so you're not coming in just saying, I just do one of these things, content or SEO or paid search, but you're coming in and saying, look, I help plumbing and HVAC companies, my vertical, whatever it is, grow and scale, right? And we're going to take all the marketing opportunities available to us and we're going to implement them on your behalf and we're going to track and we're going to set a goal and we're going to hit a target. So you're like positioning yourself as a growth provider, almost like a marketing officer for their company with the delivery behind it. I think that's not going anywhere, right? Like people need someone that can come in and help them figure out the technology, help them accomplish their goals. But I do think if you're just isolating yourself to, I do Facebook ads and that's it, it's very easy to get displaced. That's my opinion.
Okay. So that brings me to another question then. Don't answer it if you're going to address it later, but
okay.
I think there's a lot of people that have that one skill, like they are Facebook ads or they are SEO. I think a lot of our circles, at least, that's one of the main skills that they had or started with.
Right.
Makes sense. But if you're there, I think the hard part with hiring is if you don't have any knowledge of those other things, it's really hard to know to hire that person. It's hard to manage a person. I mean, creating SOPs around it. So I guess that with those people that are kind of stuck in that rut of like, well, I want to like hedge my bets here and kind of like go beyond, should they bother bringing that other marketing skill in, or should they just focus in on hiring, sales or whatever else, and then maybe hire that other marketing position later? I don't know. Like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think you need to have a core competency of some sort. I think the people that just want to subcontract or white label everything, they struggle, right? You have to have some core competency. You should never outsource your core competency. So in our agency, Plumbing and HVAC SEO, our core competency was website and SEO, right? That was what we were good at. And so that was our initial offering. And then we realized, well, just doing that isn't going to hit the goals that our clients need, right? We need paid search. We need other things as well. Yeah. And so we didn't have that competency. We knew enough about it to talk about it, but we weren't great at it. So we started by white labeling it for a period just to kind of figure it out, to get it off the ground. But then we quickly realized, that we got 20 clients here that we've got, Google ads running for, and the results are intermittent. We know if we dialed in this service, we could do better because we could really focus on it in a way that a subcontracted white label provider wouldn't. And then we brought it in-house and built it. So I think you start with your core competency, and then you find strategic partners and providers while you figure it out and while you make sure there's a market that your clients actually are going to get results from that particular thing.
Love that answer. I think that's absolutely it. I think also, and we'll move on after this last thing. I'm just going to say that like when you have the EOS system and you're like your whole entire operations thing humming, it makes a lot more sense. I think you've tasted and seen like the impact of that. And I think if you haven't, then white labeling seems more attractive than it actually is. Because like, I don't have to manage anything really. Like it seems like it's all of that operational complexity is gone, but then all of the operational benefits are gone. So that's my thought with that. But I know a lot of people that are just in the forever white label sort of bucket.
Yeah. We could probably go off on a long tangent on that. Well, I think we could leave it. We could leave it there. Obviously, you're going to provide better. You should be able to provide better results managing in-house, right? If you're really passionate about the industry, you want to be the best of the best. Yeah. You want to stand out in the marketplace. You have to innovate, right? And you can't just toss over the fence and expect to be better. If you want to be average and white label and okay, we're average, we're never going to be the best, and that works for you, then that's fine, right?
Yeah, which then that's exactly why all the billionaire multi-conglomerates sort of like will buy you up VCs. A lot of those companies that own these agencies, they white label and just outsource it to other people all the time. And it's because they don't care, exactly what you just described. They don't care at all.
Just a cash grab. It's
a cash grab. That's it. Yeah. All right. Sorry to derail you. Let's keep going.
No, yeah. Don't want to go negative on white label. I think there's a place for it, but I also
there totally is.
Yeah. All right. So 4 key positions that you hire for as you scale, at least in my experience, right? And kind of as I've grown and scaled my agency, first position is going to be operations management. And again, this goes back to, did you start the business so that you could create a job for yourself, or did you really want to create a business? And if the goal is to create a business and you're still building the websites, writing the content, doing the actual work, you don't have a business, you have a job. And so you want to, almost as quickly as possible, hire an operations-centric person that can be responsible for that outcome. Now, that operations delivery might start with one person that's managing a bunch of freelancers. It might be an operations person that's interfacing with white label providers, but you want to remove yourself from actually doing the work for the client as quickly as possible, right? That doesn't mean you can abdicate it. That doesn't mean you can just be like, okay, it's your responsibility now. You still have to take ownership of the outcomes and make sure that they're doing a quality job for the clients that you're planning to sell to. But if if you can't let go of operations, you'll never scale and you'll never be able to actually create the freedom that you want.
Yeah, I totally agree. I actually think that most of my friends that are having trouble scaling, and the people I talk to, it's because they refuse to let go of the thing that gives them the most dopamine.
Yeah.
And I think of what Kobe said. If you can't learn to love practice, then you're going to go nowhere. You're never going to be great. So you got to learn to love the thing that everyone hates. So
Yeah.
that's totally what it is.
So operations delivery. Second is account management. If you're scaling the agency and you wind up having clients, 15, 20, 30, 100 clients, usually you're going to be holding on to that relationship with the client initially. You're talking to them, you're going through the monthly reports, you're showing the vision for what's next. But usually at about 15 accounts is what I see, you're going to bottleneck because it's like you've got so much work to do to, even if you're not doing the work, you're just interfacing with the clients. It's going to prevent you from focusing on growth, innovation, scaling in the organization. And so the way we structure it in our agency, the account manager interfaces with the client and our operations team, and they can usually handle between 25 and 30 accounts. And they're trying to check in with those accounts every month, keep them engaged, keep them happy, keep the retention as high as possible. But usually that's the second role, and you're going to need to replace for that, new people every 20 or so accounts.
I'd say that I just mentioned this in my group, but that applies for normal accounts. As soon as you hit enterprise, what I've seen is 1 AM per 15 businesses, and then it goes down to about 3 or 4 if you're an enterprise. And honestly, 3 is probably the best because enterprise, they just demand so much that you got to start thinking about like that interaction as half of the deliverable. Otherwise, it feels like a waste. And you got to start charging a lot more because a lot of people are only thinking of like when I made that transition to enterprise, dude, that was like the biggest confusion thing ever because I'm no longer satisfying business owners. I'm just satisfying the person that is so separated from the business owner at this point. And they just want things to like, they just want good communication, PowerPoints, and things to be pretty, and I make them look good. It's not even necessarily about what makes the most money anymore.
Such a great point. Yeah, and I think our model is small, medium-sized businesses paying between $1,500 and $5,000 per month.
Yeah,
and they didn't want a monthly check-in, right? And it totally changes when you go 10 million to $100 million companies.
Yep.
And like you just said, you're not dealing with the owner, you're dealing with a marketing director. The conversations are totally different. The amount of time invested is typically significantly greater. And so I'm glad you brought that up. It's a great point. It's gonna matter based on the size of the companies you work with for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So account management. Number 3, and this is just my personal preference. Usually, once you've got operations squared away and you've got account managers dealing with the accounts, usually you start to look at your time and you realize, well, I've got some minutia on my plate. I'm booking travel. I'm checking my emails. I'm constantly refreshing Facebook to make sure I didn't miss somebody messaging me. And that's killing your mental capacity. And so hiring an assistant at that point, a marketing assistant and or personal assistant, makes a lot of sense. And usually you can find someone very cost effective that can take that, own that, and then just really free yourself up. I'd love to hear your 2 cents on personal assistants, VAs, a marketing assistant role.
Yeah. So I'll give you mine, and then I have a question on this. But I'd say that I've really struggled with assistants just because I don't want to pay $3,000 a month for an assistant. It's kind of like a guarantee at that point. If you're paying the premium bucks, then there's very little risk that the person won't work out. Like they're worth it. I think I've overly tried to budget, and I try to go too cheap, and then it requires too much of me, and then ends up being it's kind of the same problem with a lot of development projects where it's like, it's just going to take too much time. I don't have that. So I think that was the thing what I didn't do right was I didn't have enough of my life kind of documented out with expectations for each of those. I wasn't used to treating those things that aren't like true marketing deliverables as a system mindset. It's weird to think of my life and like all the little things in that systems mindset. So I think that's where I struggle the most, and something that I'm still trying to overcome because I don't have the assistant, and I keep telling my wife I need to hire one. And I think ultimately it comes down to me fixing that problem there.
Yeah, no, I think 100%. if you do a time and energy audit, and this is
Mhm.
just looking at, and there's all kinds of AI tools now like Rise that can look at your schedule and see where you're spending your time.
Yeah.
If you do a time and energy audit and you realize, well, hey, I'm spending 10 hours a week on
Mhm.
this, that, or the other, and that's killing my productivity. And then you figure out what your buyback rate within the organization is, which is, how much does the company make profitability wise that you get to take home, divide that by the number of hours that you work, figure out what your value is at this moment within the business. If you can hire someone full time at a fraction of your buyback rate, it becomes a no brainer. And you do need to find quality, because I hired people from the Philippines at the low rate, and it was like, oh my gosh, like, I have no responsiveness. If you hire someone that's a real assistant that does this day in and day out, they'll check your emails, they'll handle your schedule, they'll do like webinars and podcasts, teeing all of that stuff up, and completely create new mental space for yourself, for
Hmm.
sure.
So that brings up the question: where do you hire? Are you hiring American people or English speakers only, like native, or where do you
Yeah,
go?
I've used a couple sources. My original assistants came from a service called RepStack. They're based in Pakistan,
Mhm.
and it did pretty well. I recently have moved to U.S. based, because I can pay $40,000 or $50,000 for this role and have a U.S. based person that's got experience being an executive assistant. But I think you can only afford, for like some of you guys are listening, you're like, I can't pay 40 grand for my
That
operations
sounds
manager,
nice.
let alone it. And so you could absolutely find somebody on Upwork or on one of these recruiting services that will only cost you $5 or $6 an hour, but you're gonna get what you pay for at some level.
Uh, I think this one's a huge one. So I wanted to make one more comment. If you are, if you're getting it at that low rate, I guarantee they have at least one, if not two other people that
Yeah.
they are working for, because they're looking to get $15 to $20 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone in the world would love that, and everyone's working multiple jobs. If you're paying under that,
Yeah. Yeah, you get what you pay for, and if you get somebody good, it'll change your life. If you get somebody bad, it'll just frustrate you and feel like you're spinning your wheels. But I
yeah,
think that's a mission critical role, and like you said, you have to be clear on what you want them to do. Create a playbook, right? Hey,
yeah,
look, you're going to check my emails 3 times a day. You're going to respond as you, letting them know that Andrew's busy right now, but he wanted me to get back to you right away. And whatever marketing you're doing for yourself, you're having them manage all of the setup. So all you have to do is show up. So in my world, that means we do a webinar every single month for the agency. I'd say the topic and the date, and they set up the funnel for it. They
Hmm.
update the slides. They send out the promotional sequence and kick off the ads.
Awesome.
And I just show up, right? I show up and I deliver, and none of the other minutiae behind the scenes was done by me, because
Yeah.
that's their job.
This brings up this super important. I think the one thing that we didn't bring up yet that I think it touches into the fears of why people are hesitant to hire. I
Hmm.
think it stems into, if you don't have a reliable lead gen system where you can go out each month and get 1, 2 new clients to outpace churn, then I don't personally think you're ready. Like, you
Yeah,
have to have that, because you
yeah,
then know, all right, I'll put gasoline in this machine, and then I know that I'm going to need to hire. So I'm going to hire, then I'll put the gasoline, and then I'll go. But otherwise, it's all risk, because you don't know when. Maybe you just churn and you don't know when the next client comes. I think that's a big thing people need to have set up first.
yeah, no doubt. None of this happens in the absence of revenue or consistent revenue growth. And you're not hiring operations until you've got clients that are paying you a monthly fee, and until you can afford to hire someone for that role. You're not hiring account managers until you have clients,
No,
and you're definitely not
but
hiring a marketing assistant until
yeah, I think it's not that what I'm thinking is there's a lot of people that just live and die by referrals. They
Mm-hmm.
do a good job, but
Right.
you can't project that into the future.
No. Yeah,
So
it's great to have it. You should have a referral platform, but you need a growth engine that's consistent. These are the things I do daily, weekly, monthly. I can get into that at the end
yeah,
if you want. It's kind of what that growth system looks like in our agency.
yep,
And then the fourth position you hire for is sales and marketing. So you've got someone handling the operations, the work's getting done. You've got account managers retaining the client base. You've got a marketing assistant that's taking the pressure off of you with the day-to-day minutia. Usually the agency owner is good at sales. They're good at marketing. In a lot of cases, your superpower becomes your Achilles heel, and like you don't want to let that thing go. And for me, like at $1 million, $2 million per year, I was still taking the sales calls, and that was a big part of what I did. And I was the face of the company, and it was a hard thing to let go. But I knew that, man, if I could actually get a salesperson to take these sales calls that could close even close to how I'm closing today, I've truly got an autonomous business. Clients are getting sold, they're getting onboarded, the work's getting done, and there's account managers. I can just be the leader of this business, or do what I want, take more travels, do the things I really want to do. And I can tell you, if you've got the marketing engine, and that's critical, you don't hire a salesperson to just create business for you. You hire a salesperson to convert the opportunities that your marketing system generates. That is a beautiful position to remove yourself from. And really where things start to get fun and exciting in the agency.
So I take that as you don't hire sales to be hunters. Are they, or is there a percentage of hunter that you expect?
You definitely can. Where I've seen the most success with the agencies we work with, you have to have deal flow. So whatever marketing you do, and I'll talk about our growth system a little bit. You should have 20 or so strategy sessions happening every single month. And that's when you're ready for a salesperson, because there's consistent people showing up that want your business, want to work with you, and you just need someone to take the call. I think a lot of agencies think, oh, I'm going to hire a salesperson, and they're going to go out and create opportunity, and they're going to do like basically cold outreach, do my marketing, set opportunities, and close business. And it very rarely works out because they can't market yourself the way that you should be able to market. They can't set proper expectations. But when you've got the marketing engine coming in, that's when you place a salesperson. And maybe you put a marketing follow-up person in place to follow up on leads to set appointments for you in the interim. But I've very rarely seen like a cold set appointments and close business to grow my agency model work.
Yeah, I worked for a company that had that model, and it was it was just difficult, very, very difficult to make it work. So I actually saw a stat. It said that in 2023, 90% of B2B businesses failed to meet the sales quotas. Just because it's hard to do that. The what do you call that? The buying cycles have elongated too, so it's making it even more difficult.
Yeah, for sure. But if you've got the marketing engine and you put that person in place, it's a beautiful place to be. Yeah. So those are the 4 roles, and that's usually the order. Like out of every agency I see, that's the order: operations, account management, marketing assistants, and then sales. And this is kind of an accountability chart. You and the group can pull in as a template. That's like you've got your visionary, your integrator, sales and marketing, operations, and then the key functions within operations: account management, launch coordinator, account manager, and then admin and finance. And then of course you can go really deep in all of these. But that link right there, sevenfigureagency.com/org-chart-template, just pulls up a quick, easy editable org chart that you can put your name in the positions that you're in. And we all start with our name in all of these boxes, right? Literally, plumbing and HVAC SEO started with me in all the boxes. And my goal was, how do I remove myself from the things I hate most fast so that I can do the things I do best?
Love it.
All right. That was the main stuff I wanted to cover. Should I pull up the growth system real quick? Would that be helpful?
Yeah.
Okay, let me pull that up. I'll do like a Cliff Notes version of that, because I know there was a bunch of questions about how do we land clients consistently?
Yeah.
How do we get that dialed in?
So I have 2 different people, really, like kinds of people. One guy had a really interesting question that I wanted to see what your answer was. I told him my experience, but he's an Indian guy that has an accent that's somewhat thick. He speaks good English, but he is trying to get these high ticket sort of deals, but like cold, like how do I do that? How do I close those sales? And he, at this point, is, he's pretty new. He's 23 years old too. So he has to fight that sort of, I started bank sales at 21 and everyone was 50 years old in that field, or a hot girl. And, basically like preying on horny men that are in like banking and lonely or something. Anyway, like that was the field. It's hard. It's an uphill battle. You got to work like twice as hard and get half the results, it feels like. So what do you say about someone like that who's fighting that sort of battle? So someone who's younger, someone who's, it's maybe even foreign and it's just hard because of prejudice? What do you do? What do you recommend as a
I think
first
the
step?
best thing you could do in that situation is, if you don't have any clients yet, I don't know that you do, um, get a client. Come up with a hypothetical business case, like, I want to sell to restaurants, right? And I want to go get a restaurant, and get them results, right? I mean, literally, that's step one.
Yeah.
Prove you're valid, like that you can do what you want to do for the clients that you serve and get a result. And then from there, your accent and your age is no longer relevant, because you're saying, look, I got this restaurant, this result. I'd like to do the same thing for you. If you're open, let's schedule a time to chat. I'll show you what I did for them. I'll walk you through the process. If it's a fit, great. And if it's not, no big deal. If you shift from just trying to convince somebody that you may know what you're doing versus you show them the results, your life becomes exponentially easier.
Yeah.
And that's what we did in plumbing. Like, I didn't have any plumbing clients. We got a plumbing client in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. His name was Wes Alcon from Town Plumbing. I had cold called him and got him as a client, got him ranked on Google, set up his website, started tracking his calls, and he became like ranked number one. And he started getting calls, and he was a happy camper. And so I was able just to beat that example again and again. Hey, here's Town Plumbing. Check it out. If we go to Google, here's where he ranks. More importantly, here's how many calls he gets every single month. Do you want me to do that for you? And we just played that same exact one case study again and again and again. And now we've got hundreds and hundreds of plumbing clients, but it stemmed from that initial case study.
So I said something similar, except I said offer for free, especially if you want to go straight into high ticket. Like I was just upfront and honest and said, I'm specifically, I have skills, but I've been transitioning and and been doing this. I know exactly how to do this. But I know that I think it's personally ridiculous if I haven't proven myself with a case study to ask for money. So I'd like to work for free and do as much as I can for free. And then if you get results, if you want to continue working with me, we can have a paid thing. But otherwise, I would love to just get a review. So this is specifically, I would love a video testimonial and a written testimonial from you, something like that. And like, you're just upfront and honest with them. And I didn't go straight for high ticket though. So I know some people want to. I know it's easier to sort of sell high ticket to a certain extent, but that's once you've kind of proven some stuff. I find that the really budget low end people are they're so budget conscious, and I don't know, it just gets kind of annoying. There's definitely a sweet spot somewhere. But yeah, that's what I've seen.
I agree with your approach completely. Right? You don't command a premium until you've proven that you can do the thing, right?
Yeah.
And so come up with a hypothetical business case, whether it's a niche or an industry, and then reach out to 5 local people to you and say, hey, look, I've got this idea. I want to prove my expertise. Will you take a risk on me? Right? And maybe you charge them a low fee, or maybe you offer to do it for free, but that experience is going to be powerful. And maybe the first 5 you offer to do it for free for, you strike out. Right? They say yes, but you don't get the result. You're learning something every step of the way. Maybe you're wasting some time. Maybe you're wasting some money. But like, imagine if somebody had paid you 10 grand to do that and you struck out. Right? Now you've done damage to yourself and to your position. So
yeah,
that's what I suggest.
I agree. I say free because it's not that you can't get money. It's because the way that I personally operate, the stress and anxiety of the fact that someone gave me money is overwhelming. And that detracts from my ability to put energy into the thing I need to put energy into, which is improving at the fastest rate possible and providing results. So the quicker I can get there, the quicker I can start asking for real money.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna cover this real quick. You tell me if we're running out of time or if I'm going too long.
We have 30 minutes, up to 30 minutes.
Okay, sweet. I can get into this, and we can answer the question that basically people were asking, is like, how do we get appointments? How do we get sales? How do we get that engine in place so that we could potentially hire and kind of scale the team and the operation? This is our growth system. This is how we built 7-Figure Agency. I mean, plumbing and HVAC SEO, and what we teach in 7-Figure Agency every day. And so the idea is, there's certain things we want to do daily. There's certain things we need to do monthly, and certain things we need to do quarterly to fill the funnel, right? And so that's not relying on referrals, but getting clients coming on a consistent basis. And so what I would recommend you do daily, assuming you got some financial resources, you're doing some type of introduction content every day. And so you'd get a list, and like just using plumbing as an example, you'd get a list of the plumbing and HVAC companies in your local market, especially if you're starting and you don't have a lot of clients. You can start local and expand national.
Yeah.
And you're just sending a quick introduction. Hey, like if you've got a case study, hey, got this client in Fort Lauderdale ranked on the first page. He generated 375 leads last month. I'm looking to do that with one company in Tampa. If that's you, shoot me a quick reply, right? You could start with that type of message, or you could actually create useful content like, hey, I came up with a list of the most commonly searched plumbing keywords. I find a lot of plumbing companies find this useful. Would you like me to send it over? Hey, you know what? I put together a little checklist of the key things you need to do. Make sure you come up on the first page on Google Maps. Do you want me to send it over? Like you're actually creating something of value and you're offering it for free and letting them reply back. Hey, sure, send it over. Now you've got a person on the other side that's relatively interested, and you can send the thing. And now you kind of you've given value in advance, and you can follow up and say, hey, I sent you that case study. Did you get a chance to look at it? Would you be interested in talking about how we might be able to do the same thing for you? So you should be doing that every single day. I think where a lot of agencies go wrong is they try and blast this to 10,000 prospects simultaneously. Much better is to do like 5 a day and do 5 meaningful communications. Pick 5 plumbing or whatever companies in your niche, send an introduction, make a phone call, connect with them on social media, send them a little video from your phone. Hey, I just sent this thing over. Do you have any questions? Work a pipeline on a very, very manual basis every single day. And then if you've got some financial resources, run Facebook ads and Google ads to that industry, showing your value, like getting known in the space. Nobody's going to think of you as an expert if they haven't heard from you, they haven't seen you, they haven't been engaged with your value. And then, start creating content, right? Like short form content, quick information that you drop on social media. What Andrew teaches in this program with the setting up your ICP, creating your carousels, creating content can shortcut that daily post significantly, right? Where you're not spending tons and tons of hours coming up with your content, but you're using the strategy that's already pre-built and made for the ideal client that you want to work with. So those are the things you want to do daily. Anything on that you want to unpack further or have questions about, Andrew?
Yeah, I would say that we're at this stage. There's going to be various people. There's the people that are successful that are really interested in AI, and they're like, they might want to just immediately go hard and try new channels with AI. I just think that like exactly what you said with the five videos. What I'm seeing personally is if what you're doing in your outreach could be done by AI, then you're not going to get the highest success rate. So I think doing a video, narrowing it down to like 5, 10, whatever it is, I think that's the way. And then you should never try to automate or systematize or like just go straight into AI until you've actually done the thing manually. I think that's the biggest thing that people need to like, because I'm in AI and I'm always like giving people AI playbooks and tips and I talk about it so much. They want to go straight into it. I'm like, you really need to do this first. Like you have to try to do this first. You got to try. And then you're ready after you kind of understood. Otherwise you're going to have no foundation to even like truly understand what you should be automating and where you could automate. You're just guessing based off of YouTube videos. And what worked for that person might be different from you. You might experience something else. Who knows? But that's my biggest tip is just slow down. It's totally fine. And then here's the other tip. With ads, you can run $2 a day. Everyone can afford that. I don't care who you are. If you're in marketing at all, you can afford $2 a day. I've yet to meet anyone who can't. That covers your retargeting completely. So if you have a good strategy of like, all right, think about it. Who am I dealing with? I'm dealing with someone who struggles with what kind of problem? How can I package up in small bite sizes solutions, micro solutions to different aspects of that problem? And if you can do that and you can consistently do that with like ads, even just like maybe your organic market or your organic following isn't high. Still, like, do little video trainings, record a Loom, send it to a funnel where it's ungated, because all you're trying to do is keep in mind, you're not going to convert anyone unless they've seen at least 20 interactions with your content.
Mm-hmm.
And the best conversions are people who've digested 7 hours plus of your content. How are they going to do that if you're not recording videos and providing like downloadable assets and then doing email sequences? You just need to, like, if you have all that stuff, you're also, I think the other thing that's really, really nice is you sell your ability to do the thing by doing the thing. Mm-hmm. They see that you can do email. They see that you can do the funnels. They see that you're doing all of this stuff, and they see the magic of, holy shit, he just convinced me. Like, they're seeing the transformation. So do that stuff, because that's just how it works. And it's easy. You can have AI kind of like do a ton of the research for you. You can have AI create a ton of the asset material for you. This is where AI shines, I think, is in this department, which is why I created my group.
So good, man. Yeah, like, absolutely agree with everything you said. There are lots of powerful takeaways. So that's every day. Like, every day you're touching new prospects. Every day you're getting impressions on social media from your ads. Every day you're loading up some content as an authority, person. That's daily. Monthly, there's two things that if you just do these two things every single month, you'll position yourself as a thought leader. You'll nurture your database. You'll grow your own personal knowledge and expertise. And that's once a month, do a webinar. So that's not a value stack, like a hard sell webinar, like an actual content-based webinar. So practically speaking, we work with plumbing and HVAC companies. Like, once a month, I do a webinar. It could be how to get your plumbing website ranked for the most important keywords. Actually, my most recent one was, the new SEO and GEO formula, how to get ranked on ChatGPT and things like that. That was a hot topic, right? I literally show up, and I teach about how to set up the website, how to create the content, how to build the value, how to get the website ranked, and then I open up for questions. Doing that gives me a reason to email all the people in my cold database, right? I'm inviting them to a training where I'm going to give great value in advance. They're going to see me email them a couple of times. I then actually get some people that show up for the webinar and they get value from me. It also forces me to create a 30 to 45 minute training that I'm recording that goes up on YouTube, right? That can then be cut up into bite-sized pieces and loaded up to Instagram and Shorts and TikTok. One webinar per month touches the database, forces you to create content, and starts to position you as a thought leader. It literally works every single time. Every agency I've gotten to do this monthly builds their following, builds their authority. Mm-hmm. Curious if you have any thoughts on the monthly webinar strategy, Andrew.
I absolutely love it, and I hate that I have not been doing this. I can't take on clients right now, like, personally, so I haven't been doing all of my stuff I should be doing.
Yeah.
But that is so correct. And you basically can promote the monthly webinar at the same, like, once on Monday or something, or on a Tuesday, and then the rest of your content could be something else. Yeah. And then you finally have the what I've seen work. I do these in emails. Is 24 hours from the event, I do 3 touch points. So basically, the entire day is just this. It's like a reminder. There's 8 hours left. There's whatever hours left, and you can also do bonuses too. So here's the other thing: as you continue to create resources, you can start to string them together. So, hey, if you register and attend in the next, 8 hours or 5 hours, 2 hours, whatever, or just register and attend, period, do some sort of like other thing of like, I also have this free other thing that's like, hey, it's the keywords. Hey, it's the the keyword list that works for me in this niche. The whatever it could be. It could be all sorts of stuff, but some sort of bonus thing. This is the whole idea of the funnel. Is it works. We might, as marketers, kind of be like, cringe, but it works because it works. It's the upsell, the downsell, all those different options, the bonuses. We just start to feel the warm and fuzzies of like, I should really do this. Like, why not?
Yeah. So one webinar per month, and then one podcast per month. And so when I say podcast, for me, that's interview somebody in the industry on what they're doing, on how they've succeeded, on kind of what their secret sauce is. And so in plumbing, like we find a successful plumber doing $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million per year. And it's the same set of questions. Tell us about your company. Tell us about how many trucks you have, how much revenue you do. Oh, wow, that's awesome. What do you do to market yourself? Like, what do you do with your website? What do you do with SEO? How are you getting online reviews? Oh, I know that finding technicians is always a challenge. What are you doing to recruit great talent? Do you have any other great tips or strategies? It typically goes like 45 minutes of them just sharing their experience. And a couple of really cool things come from the monthly podcast. Whether they're a client or not, you start to look like somebody that is working with some of the most successful people in the industry. You develop relationships you would have never had. A lot of times you can connect with your dream prospects, invite them on the podcast. Don't go in with the alternative motive to sell them, but now you've connected with them. Maybe they do want to do business with you. Maybe they do have a problem they think you can solve, or maybe they can refer you to somebody that does. There's a lot of benefits to doing it, and you don't have to do it every single week. I'm talking about one, like get them on Zoom or Riverside, ask a couple of questions, and then email it out, put it on YouTube, put it on your social profiles. Super easy. Well, it takes you an hour of your time, and everybody wants to be featured. Like a lot of agencies, when I tell them this, like, well, why would anyone want to be on my thing? Well, guess what? They're not getting tapped every day to share their expertise, and most people want a platform. They want the ability to be shined in front of their peers. Hmm. Yeah.
The thing that is kind of spammy that I wanted to shy away from too was I just didn't want to do it for the sake of like I'm going in it to sell. So that's why I haven't been doing podcasts. I didn't reach out to you to sell, which is why I didn't feel spammy. I was just like genuinely,
Right.
I thought that you would be good you'd provide value for the people that are paying me in my course. And I was like, I want this guy to help provide some things that I can't provide entirely on my own. So yeah, I think you've convinced me. I think other people should do it too. I love it. And honestly, I think this is how I'm going to view this. If I can just get good editing on this thing too, that's the other reason of like, okay, it's not just, they could sit there and record their own thoughts. You could all day, but if you don't have to like cut things up, and not that you're in it because I'm going to do this, but if I edit it and make it look good and appealing, I just gave them marketing assets for free.
Yeah.
That's why they would do it. So I think that's what I'm going to try to do. I'll circle back. I'll let you know.
Let me know. One a month. You could do more, but one a month, you'll be prolific. It will literally, one webinar, one podcast, you're more prolific than 99% of the other people in any industry you serve.
Yeah, it's such a good point. Yeah, we need to be interacting more and talking to more peers, especially in the digital age where like everyone's kind of like isolated now. Podcasts are a nice way. It's an excuse for a combo.
Yeah, for sure. So those are the things we do monthly. And there's a couple things you want to do every single quarter. Two things: industry events and conferences, and a case study every single quarter. So industry events and conferences, like I know you do a lot of industry events and conferences in whatever niche you happen to serve. Again, I use myself as the example in plumbing. There's a National Plumbing Association. There's at least 5 plumbing masterminds. They're getting together almost every month. There's a gathering happening in the plumbing space. There's at least 4 big conferences that happen where most of the industry is there. And so making sure that you're present, ideally with a booth, that way people have a reason to come back and chat with you. And if you're positioning expert status because you've published a book or you've done webinars and podcasts on a consistent basis, getting on the stage at those events isn't that hard, right? It's like, hey, look, I could do a session on this, that, or the other. If you get live and in person in your industry once per quarter, that opens up opportunities and opens up joint venture possibilities and deal flow, right? Clients will just directly sign up with you at these types of events. So once a month, once a quarter, we're getting out to a live event or conference. And then the other thing is every quarter we want to create a case study. And like this creates a ritual of not just talking the talk, but backing it up with proof. So yeah, we're reaching out to people and saying, hey, look, I want to help. And then we're creating content that says, hey, here's how we can help. Here's what our knowledge is. Here's our expertise. And then at least once a quarter, we're saying, hey, here's a client just like you that we worked with. Here's where they were struggling. Here's what the reality was before we started working together. Here's what we put in place, and here's the results. Right? And that could be narrative-based case study where it's like just you recording your screen and explaining what happened. Or it could be you interviewing the client. hey, tell us about why you hired us. Tell us about the results. Tell us what you like working with us the most for. If you do those two things every single quarter, you'll really be bulletproof, right? Because you're creating a frequency of proving your results and being live and in person, not hiding behind Zoom, but getting out in the real world.
Yeah, I love that. I love the quarterly systemized approach here. I tend to do mine where I fit it all between the months of April to July. And then it gets really hard for me. Basically, holidays, it's almost impossible. So
yeah,
but I do try to do about 3 to 4.
3 or 4 per year is kind of when you do case. Are you talking about the industry events?
For events.
Oh, okay, yeah, I get that. Okay.
Yeah.
So the goal with this to fill the funnel, is to get at least 15 strategy sessions per month. If we can get so this is all based on if we're selling a program that's $1,500 to $2,000 or more per month, and we can get 15 strategy sessions per month, we can convert it 30%, which I'll talk about here in a second, and we can retain it 97% plus. We can add $1 million every 12 months or grow to 7 figures in less than a year. Just the math works out that way.
So say the math again.
So I'm just going to show this. So these are the things we want to do every single day.
Yeah.
Every single month, every single quarter. And we want to get at least 15 qualified strategy sessions a month. So that's people scheduling in. They have the problem that you can solve. They're interested. They're in your niche. And they want to hear what you can say, right? Actual sales appointments, strategy sessions, whatever you call it. We want to have a nice, tight appointment funnel, which is not just, hey, they pick a time and a date, but they pick a time and a date. They get warmed up. They start to see some of your experience in advance. So they show up to that appointment eager, pre-positioned to buy. And then we take them through a nice consultative sales process where we get to know them, their goals, their challenges, what they've tried in the past, what they're looking to do, and then show them how you can help, right? That's the sales process. Ideally, we want that to close at 30% or higher. That's the target of your appointment funnel and your sales process. Do you know what your close? I'm sure a lot of agencies close at 12% or less, but then I know people that close at 50 and 60% as well.
I will say this, that it was 25% when it was 20 to 25%, I think, when it was a more streamlined thing. But if we're talking getting leads based off of organic content that they've digested a lot, they comment a lot, and then I reach out to them, that's 80%. It's really just, do I want to close them? Then typically it works because they're pre-sold. And it's pretty high. So I'd say that's what I've been doing, is just something like that, where I don't have all the systems and stuff. For the past 2 years since I've been switching and trying to build entirely new business model, I kind of stepped away from doing the thing that I was really comfortable in, and I've been developing other things. So that's why it's been like this. I'm only trying to get just enough leads. So that's why I do it this way.
And then we want to deliver and retain, right? Which is world-class onboarding, great communication rhythm, checking with the client every single month, putting your account management team in place so that they can take those monthly calls off your back. And the goal there is 97% or higher. So you're only churning 3% per month. So, if you do the math here, right? If we've got 15 strategy sessions and we convert at 30%, that's going to be 3 to 5 clients every single month. If our monthly fee is $1,500 to $2,500 per month, right there, it puts you at over a 12-month run rate, 83,000 or more in monthly recurring revenue. And then we have to retain, right? Because that's the hidden fear and challenge in running an agency is they don't all stay forever. But if you've got great processes, you show the value, you can retain at a pretty high level.
So to speak in on that, I talked to a lot of agencies. And what I've been seeing, at least at the enterprise grade level, so the Eric Sue, Neil Patel, those kind of people, is 13% churn rate. So they're at 87% retention.
Is that monthly, quarterly, or
87? 87 to 89. Oh shoot, I shouldn't. I think that's. I thought that I was assuming it was monthly. Yeah. I didn't even ask.
It probably is. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't.
I think it's monthly. But they said that. I talked to one friend, and he said that he specifically got them from 89 up to 97. And then because of the way of the world right now and some of the stuff that's happening, it's it went totally backwards, and there was like nothing that could be done that they were ready for. So I'm seeing some challenges there for bigger
Yeah.
companies, and it makes me really think that if you stick under that 5K amount, you're going to have a better time at retention. But
Flying under the
once
radar.
again,
Yeah.
enterprise is a different beast, and no matter how good you are at your job, the next director or C-suite, whatever, wants to prove themselves and bring their whole team of trusted people, or they just have budget cuts that you can't do anything about. So it's just like, unless you offer like a lot of killer services that are all kind of like interconnected,
Yep.
it's really, really difficult. So that's what I've seen.
Yeah, no, great feedback. And like really this growth system is based on this people in the 7-figure agency model. So it's like you're working with a very specific vertical, right?
Yes.
Roofing companies, roofer marketers as an example.
Yes.
You've got a preset program. You're doing the same thing. It's going to charge between $1,500 and $3,000 per month. And it's a pretty comprehensive thing, right? You're building their website, doing their SEO, putting marketing automation, paid search. You're proving a tangible, measurable return on investment.
Yes.
And when you do that and you're like the expert in the space, it is very, very feasible to get to like a 3% monthly churn rate.
Totally agree on that.
So that's the growth system. Hopefully I didn't go too long on it, but I think that should be helpful for some of the watchers.
That should be very helpful. I think that the onboarding is killer. AI can do that, by the way, like for a lot of your onboarding. Communication rhythm, AI can handle like 70% of that now. Because all it has to do is read wherever the data lies. So if you have agency analytics or you want to use Looker Studio, you're just pulling in that data, and then or ClickUp. All you need is a week-long time frame to get a whole weekly report. So you pull in all that data, and then you have the AI and whatever like tone you want. Give a little write-up for them. What are the activity things? What are the checkpoints? You can make it human in the loop if you want. There's a lot of things I think that last deliver retain that AI can really, really help with. And I haven't seen this yet, but I have a feeling that an account manager can probably take on with these AI systems. You could probably double the amount of clients that that they could handle, as long as the clients are small.
Maybe you get to like 50 accounts instead of 25.
I'm curious. I think so. I think we're heading that way. I did have, I want to make sure we cover all the questions because we only have like a couple minutes left. So there was one that I think we kind of answered these. So who do we hire first? We know we have that. And who do you hire second? We have that. I think you answered the why you do it that way. Can you one question I'll ask for her is, Karen asked this. When she says, why do you do it that way? I'll say this: why the ops person, an ops manager, instead of a personal assistant? Because those are the ones that I've always kind of tossed up where it's like, I'm not sure which one to focus on. And I've seen a lot of people kind of blend those roles anyway, where like someone who's doing operations kind of does a lot of the personal assistant type stuff too. So I'm curious, what's your reasoning for that?
So, Dan Martell in the book Buy Back Your Time is very adamant. It should be a personal assistant first, so that you're freeing yourself up initially. I can, like, just for me, like running our model, right? I was selling, getting clients, and when we get the clients, stuff has to be done: website, SEO, pay-per-click, etc. If I'm doing that work, I no longer can focus on growing and getting the next client to continue to grow the business. And so I'll be in a constant feast or famine state where it's like, all right, I have some time to market now, and I get some clients, and then now I've got to shift over to deliver. And now I'm constantly toggling. It's very hard to get momentum if you're starting the marketing, stopping it. So that's why for me, it's like, okay, immediately let's get somebody that can own operations so that I can constantly focus on the growth side of the equation. And no matter what, if you've got an amazing operations person, you're still going to get pulled in from now and then. You're still going to need to spot check and make sure that it's actually being done correctly. But it creates enough of a mental freedom that you can really focus on what's next. That's why I've done it in that order.
So to me, it seems it's more about where your time is spent. I think for some people, then a personal assistant, it would make more sense if communication type things are taking up the majority of the time. Or your energy that's needed for other things.
Yeah.
But if that's not the case, and it's actually like the deliverable itself, it seems like it's more of what you said, that needs to be the first hire.
Yep.
Okay. And then, do you have any advice on Yaswanth asked this, how to close high ticket? What do you think? What do you think the best way to close them is?
The best way to close high ticket.
You brought up a little bit about this.
Yeah, is going to be through a consultative sales process. So you need to spend time on the front end understanding them, where they're at today, what their goals are, what their problems are, why they're looking to make a change, why this is a now thing versus a later thing. Like, so you're gonna spend a lot of time there and get their buy-in that there's a problem they really, really need to solve. If they don't acknowledge that there's a big problem, there's never going to be a sale, right? So you got to spend a bunch of time on the front end there. And then you should have your program overview, whatever it is. Hey, look, I looked at in our case, we looked at your website, we looked at your current rankings, we looked at your current conversion factors, and here's the problems, right? You could point to the issues with what they're doing today and then bridge the gap. You said you're here, you said this is the goal. Here's what we're going to do. Like, launch this new website, make sure it's built to convert, put these strategies in place to make sure you come up for all the important keywords, put the marketing automation in place to follow up with the leads and make sure that you convert more of them into sales, and then track everything. So you know exactly how much you spent, exactly how many leads you got, and what your return on investment is. And get their buy-in. Okay, yes, that's what I need now. And what I found is the best way, once they're really interested and they see the value and they feel like you're the right company, is to just take the assumptive, awesome. Well, listen, you talk about price, obviously, get them to accept that, and say, all right, next step is let's schedule your kickoff call. Right. And like, we can do a kickoff call on Thursday at 2:00. Does that work? Yes. Now you've got like
specific time. Yeah.
You've got the original yes. And then you could say, awesome, great. We've got you scheduled for this day at this time. They're sold at that point. Now the asking for the payment isn't a big deal. Hey, I just need to get the credit card, that we're going to use for payment. What kind of card do you want to use? Capture that. I say, awesome. Next step is I just need you to sign off on the agreement. I'm going to send that via DocuSign. We'll see you on Thursday at 2:00, right? Deal is closed. If you do it in that stacking order, it's much easier than if you say, all right, I need you to sign the DocuSign. It's got all of these terms and conditions. And, like a lot of agencies, that's the way they want to do. They want to send the proposal and get them to like sign on. That kills your momentum. It kills your deal. So get their acceptance, get their yes, schedule the kickoff call, get the payment details, and then let the DocuSign take care of itself, or whatever signature platform.
I love that. I heard a really good, some really good advice that was, as you fail in this, where like you'll get a bunch of no's, you're basically, so my whole system is about like, you don't have the data necessarily. So you are using AI and a little bit of like research to get some ICP pain points and to understand objections and to find those things. If you're having these talks with these people, you're going to learn the things that matter. Start writing them down, because like you need to actually document what are they saying in these meetings, because then you can make a better, the next appointment's going to be better, because you're going to know, I'm going to try pushing that pain point harder. I'm going to try having like a prepared, if I haven't prepared, I'm going to have a prepared sort of like rebuttal to this thing. I think that's a huge tip that there's a lot of people that just kind of keep going without actually getting better. And they just think they're going to get better without actually, with anything. Like you gotta watch the tape, you got to figure out like.
And to your point, like what's great is you can take the transcript of that, drop it into ChatGPT, tell it that it's a world-class sales coach, and ask where you went wrong, right? And if you've done the ICP work that Andrew teaches in his program, man, you've got all of the goods to become world-class in your sales process.
But yeah, I think that was all the questions. I wanted to end with anything that you want to promote, where or like where can people find you? What should they learn? Or if they want to learn more, where do they go? Give the people what they want.
Yeah, no, if you want to learn more, sevenfigureagency.com is the best place. Grab a copy of our book, The Seven-Figure Agency Roadmap. You can get it on Amazon or there at our website. That's usually the best place to kind of learn more and connect with me on Instagram, Josh Nelson Coach.
Perfect. I'll link that when I'll put this into a YouTube video as well. But let me stop the recording because we're done here. Thank you for your time. See ya.